my name is Mulalo Ntsako Mabogo, but my English name is Prudence, but I'm not a fan of that name. So I changed it to Mulalo Ntsako Mabogo.
Born in Limpopo in a small town called Vleefontein is 30-something-year-old nurse by profession and first-time author Mulalo Mabogo. In her first tell-all memoir, 16 Missed Calls, Mulalo bears it all on paper as she shares her struggles with mental health, gender-based violence, relationships, and everything else in between.
Writing, I can say, has always been my thing. Like, in fact, it has always been my escape, but I didn't know that it was an escape until I was growing up and realized that, every time something happens to me or something that is very triggering and evoking, I would just go back to the pen and write it down. That's when I knew that this is what I really want. This is my escape. This is my therapy, if I can put it like that. Oh yeah, there were 16 missed calls. It's a very sensitive matter. It's like you're being emotionally vulnerable and also undressing yourself naked in the public, which has never been my thing. So it took time for me to actually sit down and say, you know what, let me just take this to the world. Let the world know how it feels and what I actually went through, the road that I encountered. But it was not easy, I can say. It was not easy because it took a lot of emotions. It took a lot of my parents saying, black women and so not black women, but black families, because we grew up in a place where being vulnerable and letting your feelings out, especially to the public, it sounded as if though you are parading your dirty laundry in public, you understand? But I had to fight that, and I had to say, you know what, Mulalo, rather do this and see what the world says and what the feedback will be. But removing the world out of this, I wanted to do it for myself so that I can actually say, you know what, I gave it my best, I did, and I wanted to save someone out there who's actually going through the same thing or actually went through the same thing, and they're silencing their pain. So most of all, I was just doing it for myself. So the 16 missed call is about a lady who encountered a lot of hardships in relationships, just like just like you're going through now. Most of the people, in fact, almost everyone is going through a lot of pains and emotional traumas and a lot of things when it comes to relationships, because I think we've lost ourselves in other people and we bury ourselves in people more than we actually bury ourselves in ourselves. So I think it's a book about a lady who went through the same stories that we all women know about and we all men know about. When she went inside the relationship, she had a child outside of the relationship before she entered into this new relationship, and again she was heartbroken. But this time it was fatal when the husband actually lost his life in an accident. But nevertheless, he had an accident, and the wife, found out that this person passed away with his mistress inside the car, but the mistress survived. So that mistress has been giving her problems since the death of their husband. So she received 16 calls from the hospital, letting know about the husband's death. Car accident. Basically, that's it's a story that I got. It took me like 3 months, if I can say, almost 3 to 4 months, because I had to write it from work. I'd come back at home and write about it, and sometimes I would find that I would even send some papers to my mom and some chapters to my mom to say, what do you think about this? Because my mom is a vendor woman, and they're very secretive, But sometimes I would go against that, and I'll just tell her, no, I removed it, especially with the part of where it's very explicit, because it also involved explicit chapters there. But I didn't send those ones to my mom because I knew she was going to say, no, you can't. You just can't, Yeah, but nevertheless, my partner was very supportive, and he said, yeah, no, you can do this, you can write about this. And it made me feel better because I had somebody who was very supportive, and also my sisters extremely supportive, my aunts and everyone, they were very supportive. Though my son, whose name is Ntsako, that I took away from him, was not really happy, not entirely happy, because some of the things included things that he knew about, and I was scared that maybe this is going to actually traumatize him a bit, and also made him think of all the things that happened in the past. But by God's grace, he took it well now. I think it was a roller coaster of emotions, to be honest with you, because at some moment when you're writing about it, sometimes you would actually drift away from that scenario, and it comes back as if though the wound is still fresh and is still raw, you know. And sometimes when I'm writing about it, I would laugh like, what the hell was I thinking, you know? And then sometimes I would go back and I'll be like, why did I allow that to happen to me? There's just so many what ifs, so many could haves and should haves, you know. But then if I believe that some of these stories and some of these lessons that we encounter every day are for us to learn, because I believe that they are aligned to our destiny. They are things that is aligned to our destiny. It's not 100%, but it is lessons that we have to learn, because definitely it's aligned to our destinies. So sometimes I would just calm myself down and say, you know what, Moraro, it happened. It's a scar. You're not defined by that scar, and it's a journey. It was. I would say it was hard because I didn't know that it's really hard, but it was challenging. I'm a very vocal person, very vocal, but I can also be very, I can also be not an extrovert. I can be sometimes an introvert. So it was not really. I think it was very hard, but talking to my mother about things like that was something that I would never talk about. That, like, I feel like death. Imagine telling your black mother that you feel like death. You know, and right in the house they'll tell you that my mother was a teacher. She's still an educator even today. So it was more about me being privileged every time. You understand? It was about me being privileged and saying, you've got you've got food in the house. You're going to a school. You are not mentally handicapped. You know, the hell do you want from me? You know, it was very difficult for me to actually say, Mom, I feel like this. I feel like I don't want to be part of the world. I feel like I'm not belonging. You understand? Those are the things that I felt like were too difficult for me to say. And growing up with a sister, my older sister is a very quiet person. She's a person who actually bottles things in. So it was also difficult for me to talk to her about such things. But she was also facing the same thing that I was facing, but we had a different ways of dealing with it. My sister was dealing with it in terms of writing, going to school and getting A's, studying hard. But for me, studying, well, it was never my it was not my escape at all. We were two different characters. So anxiety and depression, my sister, most of us black children at a very young age, we master it so much without the knowledge of us mastering it. And we feel that it's very scary to talk to our parents about it, or also to talk to our friends about it, because of the stigma attached to it. There's still a whole lot of stigma attached to this thing, and it's very difficult for us to actually come up and open up about it. So for me, I still have my own episodes. I still have a lot of anxiety sometimes. It's very evoked. Sometimes little things can trigger that as well. So yeah, I still struggle from that as well. We become what we allow, which is very important. We become what we allow. Not all the time, but most of the time, I think that we become what we allow. And sometimes we normalize abuse and we make it very normal for us so that we can actually take it. But that's not how it's supposed to be. Not only to women, but also to men. Not only to women, but also to men. So I believe that as women, I would love to say that these too shall pass. And you need to also value yourself and understand who you are as a woman, who you are as Mulalo, who you are as Nosipho, before you can actually bury yourself in somebody else. It is very important to find yourself and to know yourself, and to understand that whatever behavior you accept in a relationship, whatever patterns that you see in a relationship that is actually harboring you and also making you feel unwanted and unloved, can be stopped. You have the power to actually say, you know what, enough is enough. You can actually get out. Oh, I think Mike was the, I don't know if I could say the mother of all depressions. Yeah, but that one was no, Mike, if I did not die or lose weight from Mike, then I don't think I'll ever lose weight from Mike. Yeah, so for Mike, it was I give him a different name because I didn't want to say his name, But with Mike, there's so many lessons I've learned, and sometimes it's so overwhelming because you think that everybody's Mike, you understand? Because when you see one element of Mike, you actually make it a whole person. You make it sound like this is Mike, definitely, and you run. So sometimes it's not easy, to trust because you think that they are Mike. Trust me, when I say Mike was convincing, Mike was extremely convincing. Mike was a lover. Mike would strip you away. Mike was just oh God, I don't know how to say it, but I described everything there. Mike was a gentleman. Mike would, he was always there, So these are things that when it came to me, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Oh God, I was a gone girl, I didn't believe it. And this other time, I remember when I was sitting alone and I was like, what the hell is Mike? I mean, I don't even know for crying out loud, I don't even know his English name, his Ghana name, I didn't know. I didn't know what his favorite color was. What's his take on feminism? What's his take on the economy? Nothing. For me, it was just about a handsome man who's just loving, affectionate. Yeah, was about to give me a ring. Yeah, it was more like that. But yeah, Mike gave me the shock of my life. With Pumulani, I could say it was different because at least there was Lobola. It was a bit different because, I accepted my child wholeheartedly, so much. So I think for every woman, when your child is loved unconditionally, trust me, they win us. They win us. It was for Pumulani. He was my man. Pumulani was not so bad. But yes, the talking stages were very important. Because even with Pumulani, there were talking stages, and I was a bit naive. But not extremely oblivious. Yeah, not very oblivious. When I first went and collected the books from my publisher, I couldn't believe it. My publisher is Evelyn. I couldn't believe it. I drove there. There was some times where I was like shaking, and I was like, how is the world going to take this? You understand? How is the review going to be? And I was like, no, just drive. I drove from Wheatbank and I went straight to Joburg to fetch the books. I only made 20 books the first time because I wasn't sure, So I came back with the books and I opened them with my little sister, and I opened them. And when I looked at them, it was very emotional. It was very, very emotional, but very scary at the same time because I was scared. Like, it was very scary. I didn't even want to read the book. Can you believe it? I didn't want to read the book because I felt like when I read it, maybe I'm gonna find some grammatical errors there, It was I don't know, it was mixed emotions. But the second day after posting it, that's when I felt so much relief. It was this relief, Oh God, at least people can see this. People are not saying something bad about it. People are not laughing about it. But there were some critics, obviously. From my own people, there were some critics, and they're like, oh, we thought it was a tablet, Oh, the second one is coming, yeah. It talks about everything now. All the little pieces I didn't put in the book. It's going to blow you away, I think. And please, no judgment. It's as raw as it is. Yes, this time I'm going all in because the first time I was a bit conscious because of my parents and stuff like that. But with this one now, I'm all in, and you guys will see what Lirato is. And we do have a lot of Liratos around here. We do have a lot of Liratos. We do have a lot of mics around here that we live with, that are there every single day of our lives, and we encounter them every single day of our lives. If you go on TikTok, you will see women crying because of men who did this and this. Like, stay away from men, you understand? Stay away from these people because of the trauma that we have, These two shall pass. These two shall pass. Definitely. That's a definite. Shall pass.
This too shall pass. Spoken by someone who went through it all, from gender-based violence to losing a husband and only finding out after multiple calls. Mulalo Ntsako Mabogo was brave enough to pin it all down and share her challenging journey with us. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe and turn on your notifications. You don't want to miss the next episode of Beyond Her Cover.